Hey everyone, it's Kate with Scratch Basics, the Science of Why, and this is the pizza dough series. And so in this series, we're going to look at flour type, yeast type, and then I'm actually going to get into one of my favorite pizza dough recipes, and we'll take it from there. So when it comes to flour type, there are so many different types on the market, and it's hard to know what to choose and why to choose it. So you have your whole wheat flour, you have bread flour, you have all-purpose flour, but there's also other types of flour such as cake flour, pastry flour, and then you have all the different types of flours too, the coconut flour, the almond flour. So we're just gonna stick with our all-purpose flour and our bread flour for this discussion. So what is different between the flours? And it's actually the protein content within the flours. So you can actually see right on this bag for our all-purpose flour, we have 11.7% gluten-forming protein content. And on our bread flour, it's actually 12.7% gluten-forming protein content. It doesn't actually say it on this bag of whole wheat flour, but whole wheat flour is up around 14% protein content. Now, why exactly does it matter when we're talking about protein content? Well, the protein is actually what helps form the gluten. Now, gluten is very important because it gives doughs that stretch and elasticity, and it also gives bread that chewy texture. Now, the lower the protein content, the less gluten is actually going to form, and you're going to have doughs with a crumbly or flaky texture, which is ideal, again, for pastries and pie crusts. So when you have a bread dough with a high protein content, you're actually going to go ahead and knead the dough to help develop the gluten strands. And the gluten strands are going to trap the air, and they're going to produce holes, those classic holes within the bread that you typically get. So when it comes to pizza dough, you can use all-purpose flour or you can use bread flour. It's just you have to keep in mind that the lower protein content is going to change the texture just a little bit. And so your bread flour is going to have that higher protein content. You're going to have a greater chewier quality to that dough, where your all-purpose flour is going to have a little bit less. So the basic gist here is that yes, you can substitute all-purpose flour in your pizza dough recipes if they call for bread flour. There's no substitutions or ratios to keep in mind. I actually find personally that there is a difference in flavor. So I do prefer using bread flour over all-purpose flour.